Deacon Miller, we bump into each other again.
Indeed.
I interviewed you a number of years ago about Emmett Till, and here we are at the giant demonstration in favor of Muslim immigrants.
Yes.
But Emmett Till, by coincidence, is in the news again. Let's start at the beginning, though. Who was Emmett Till, and what happened way back in the 50s?
Emmett Till was the young man from Chicago who was murdered when he ventured down to a small town called Money, Mississippi. In 1955, he went into a store owned by the Bryant family, Roy Bryant and his wife Carolyn, and bought some candy. He came out of the store, and evidently something happened within the store. Emmett's friends warned him that he should get out of town, and that didn't happen fast enough. For 2 days later, Roy Bryant and his half-brother J.W. Milam went to where Emmett was staying, took him, kidnapped him out of the store, and murdered him. Now, history books will say he was murdered because he whistled at Carolyn Bryant. Well, the truth is, he was murdered not because he whistled, but because that entire community was filled with hatred. And there was no one within that community who had the courage to stand up against hatred. So hatred killed Emmett Till. And we're here at Bradley Airport simply because hatred is rearing its ugly head again. But unfortunately, this time it's led by our unfortunate, for me, president. Donald Trump has decided that there would be a ban on several countries in which there is a great majority of people who are Islamic. And some of those countries are filled with refugees, like Iraq. Iraq, unfortunately, still has the terrorist organization ISIS within it. In fact, the ISIS kills more Muslims than it kills anyone else. But nonetheless, Trump has decided that it would be a good idea not to allow anyone from Iraq to enter our country, even though no citizen from Iraq has ever committed any crime of terrorism in our country. So I'm here because I am an American, because I love my country, to protest against those things that don't truly represent my country, and that's freedom and justice and righteousness. So I am here. It is remarkable that just last week I was at Ground Zero in Money, Mississippi, where Emmett Till met Carolyn Bryant. I was there and saw the place where the whole civil rights movement began. I think I'm standing on Ground Zero again. Ground Zero where maybe righteousness and goodness will emerge from the ugliness that's coming from the White House. It is my prayer that our country will stand up like the Statue of Liberty does, and welcome all to recognize that we are a nation of believers, a nation of love, a nation that is strong simply because we're bound together by our differences. And that's my hope, and that's why I'm here today.
Now, in the Emmett Till case, you went to school with him, is that right?
Yes, I went to school with Emmett Till. I knew him. In fact, I wrote a book about it. We had known each other. My brother sat next to him in school, and I still remember the horrible time when he was murdered. I remember my brother's cry when he heard on the radio that his friend had been murdered. At that moment in time, we didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what it meant to be black. I knew I was, but I didn't know the ramifications of it. And as a consequence, from out of that little town in Money, Mississippi, his body came back to Chicago, and his mother, Mamie, decided that she would open the casket because the world needed to see what ugliness looks like, what hatred looks like, what hatred had done to her little boy. And right now today, what we're seeing is what hatred looks like as it's manifested in the things that are happening today. And we have to make a decision whether or not we're going to stand on the right side of justice. And only history determines that. Where were you when the things that happened that started to destroy our country, where were you standing? In support of it or on the right side of justice?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.